Mike's pretty skeptical, but we both got weirded out by something that mentioned literally the Galactic Federation of Worlds like 2 weeks before this. That's the remote viewing guys. I know I keep bringing them up, but they just keep weirding me the hell out.
The Exiled Minds Podcast. Famously Martin. You have like several names. Famous, and the mighty. How can you beat that? The Exiled Minds Podcast. The Exiled Minds Podcast. Famously Martin, the mighty Rohan. Famous Exiled Minds Podcast. How can you beat that?
What's interesting about this is with all the turmoil going on in 2020 and with the Tom DeLonge thing, this narrative that's starting to develop, that's what's wrong with
Hey folks, welcome to the Exiled Minds Podcast. Your host Liam Martin, the incredibly famous Liam Martin, broadcasting live for the UK and the Troubled Minds Radio Network KUAP on today's date, 21st of June, 2023. Woo! Here we are, another day, another dollar. I wasn't feeling too groovy today, so I was going to skip it, but then I thought, no, show must go on. So we're gonna keep going, keep plugging away. So yeah, today's show. Welcome. Oh, by the way, I'm still getting used to this. I'm still like in training, just so you know. So I'm supposed to, like most people normally tell you to, I'm supposed to tell you to share and like and subscribe and check out the radio. Check out the new radio station. So going to be going on there soon. It's building up. It's come out of nowhere. But it's going to be really good. Troubled Minds Radio Network, started by my buddy Michael Strange. It's got a huge podcast. Number 3 in the world, I do believe, according to the numbers. Troubled Minds Radio. So go and check that out. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of hosts on there. So I say there's a handful already. There's more to come. There's my buddy's been interviewed by one of them coast to coast dudes as well. So that'll be coming out soon. So that'll be nice. But anyway, on to this show. Back to this show, Exiled Minds Podcast. Me, Lee, and Martin. Today we've got a show because I've been thinking about. I'm always thinking about stuff in the future and where we're going, but I've been recently thinking about how the technologies, how they get ahead of you. Because I keep saying we're living in the future, so I'm gonna try and qualify what I mean by that. Sort of explain it. It's a bit of a slogan I've got. So when I say we're living in the future, so that in terms of the technology, this thing, right? Let's go back in the day. All right, go back to Leonardo da Vinci. I was, and you got these Renaissance artists, but Da Vinci is known for making inventions. All right, like flying machines and automatons and stuff. But it didn't quite have the materials at the time to be able to get those flying machines to work. However, now we've got better technology with, aerodynamics. We can make things fly now. Turns out those designs that he had were based on the wings of a particular bird, and they would have worked. They're aerodynamic enough to have worked, but the materials that guy had then just weren't. He didn't quite have the materials to get it off the ground. Couldn't get the, power to weight ratio sorted. Now, famously, if you follow the Star Trek franchise, there's one of the spin-offs in Voyager. They've got in the holodeck, they've got Da Vinci. The captain likes to use him as a bit of a confidant. So, because they're kind of stranded in the Voyager thing, so they haven't really got full staff and they haven't got full support. So she kind of leans on him as a bit of a counselor, to hash ideas, like a bit like we do with the AI, the Chat GPT and the language bots, help us flesh things out a bit, speed up the research time. And it's notable that was an episode where someone steals the computer and this hologram's running around on this alien world. So Da Vinci, this hologram thinks is Leonardo da Vinci and he's going around on this alien world. And suddenly he can make his flying machines work because he's got his lightweight materials and whatnot. So the point I'm making is that with this show, I want to look at how some of these technologies can run away from us. That we invent them and then they can get repurposed and you didn't envision where they're going to go. So, but we've got them, but they're here anyway. And we've got the AI stuff, artificial intelligence, which the inevitable advancement of that is what's known as general artificial intelligence we'll get to. So today on the show, I want to look at these potential implications of the new technologies in a rapidly evolving world. Like I say, we've got the AI now. It's intertwining with the fabric of our daily lives. So the questions arise about the potential impact on our society and on our values, and indeed what it means to be human. Okay, and then so I want to be asking the questions like, have we been at this point before, long in the past? I just want to look at that, as well as how is this going to shape our future? From the decisions what we make with it today. Because there's all kinds of sort of ethical concerns to consider that even the artificial intelligence brings up. When I'm sort of like saying, "Hey, what if you were in charge?" Not exactly that, but So yeah, today, Exiled Minds Podcast, 21st of June, 2023. Please join us on a thought-provoking journey. We delve into the fascinating realm of AI and the symbiotic relationship with humanity. Okay, let's do it. So all right then. As I'm doing this. So I've been thinking about this in terms of trying to think about what kind of our political system's a mess. Yeah, it seems like a big Truman Show to me. There's all kinds of messy stuff, but then we get these visions of utopian or dystopian ones as well. But in sci-fi, we also get these like glimmers of perhaps utopian futures and sort of equalness, like Camelot in the olden days was like supposed to be a flint, just a golden fleeting moment in history where things are kind of even and nice, and you've got the round table where things are, sort of balanced. And that's what's sort of representing. And so with this, it brought me back to thoughts of there is a kind of utopian vision of the future in a film called Appleseed. It's mentioned a couple of times. I'm not sure I've mentioned this show, but I've talked about this on the radio. in terms of the AI and politics and, you know, getting around sort of corruption and stuff. So let's have a look at this then. So it's an animation, it's a manga called AI. So check on Wikipedia. It's a film, animated film from 2004. And in this film, it basically, there's been a global war, but there is a city that's sort of emerged from it that's a bit of a utopia. So the film tells a story of, I'll read this from Wikipedia. The film tells a story of this former soldier called Dunan. She searches for data. She's looking for genetic data in the sort of wastelands to try and restore the reproductive capabilities of the biroids. So it's a race of genetically engineered clones, right? These biroids. And yeah, in the Wikipedia, it's explaining how there's another film called Appleseed that's very similar with similar characters. It's kind of sharing the plot, but basically in this one, you've got a young soldier. She's one of the global war's like last survivors. She gets rescued, a second generation biroid, and then she finds herself, you know, waking up on this utopian city called Olympus. Its population is half human and half clone. So you've got like a 50-50 split of cloned people. You've got half human, half clone people, and then genetically engineered species called biroids. Okay. So on Olympus, they've got this sort of intriguing government system, which I wanted to sort of explore with the AI itself. And so on Olympus, they're governed by 3 factions. You've got the Prime Minister, okay. He's the head of the sort of the military, the Olympus Army, and you've got a council of elders. So you've got a kind of president or a prime minister or a premier still, okay, but he's in charge of what the military is going to do. And then you get a council of elders, which I suppose is just like a panel. And everything in the city is constantly being observed by an artificial intelligence called Gaia. And she's running that from a building called Tartarus, of all the names. So what we've got is this political system where we have these biroids that were created with DNA from Dunan's father, actually. So it's a bit of it sounds a bit hard to follow, but if you imagine it like this, because you've heard of Star Wars, and you've got the Boba Fett, and so you've got this like a really good soldier. Let's use his genes as a template to make a load of clone warriors. Well, in this scenario, they've taken somebody to make a bunch of kind of honorable politicians, if you will. So you've got a bunch of honorable politicians, a council of elders, so to speak, with an AI advisor, and then just a regular human guy who's in charge of the military. So it's a bit complicated, but I thought it gives me an idea to try and, because what my thread with this is, this artificial intelligence language models are turning out to be good for people creating artificial intelligence artwork. Yeah, they're doing that. They're making artificial intelligence music and scripts, and AI's been writing news articles. It's been helping, people like doing radio shows and podcasts to sort of speed up the research time, flesh things out a bit. We're able to take things in new realms, new augmentation. So I thought, well, can't we use this to start looking at some of these real world problems from an objective perspective, right? Because I'm coming from this notion of where Einstein says you can't fix the problems of the world with the same thinking that creates it. Yeah, you've got to kind of get outside of the box, and you can't use the same games and the same kind of stupid stuff, like trying to go to politics and bureaucracy and go, like, I don't know about other countries, but in our country, the police are trusted to handle their own complaints. It's like incestuous. It's well known. And it's like, obviously, you need independent, you need internal affairs, don't you? You need independent people you can't investigate yourself and expect no objectivity, can you? It's impossible. So anyway, so things like that, you can't necessarily use the same system that's like blocking you up or screwing you. You know what I mean? Got to sort of supersede it, as a word, transcend it in a lot of cases. So I was thinking, hang on a minute. if for the sake of propaganda, people are using artificial intelligence to write articles and to, use bots to censor people or whatever, but then we can use it for creative endeavors. Like, for example, I wanted it to analyze a particular song, see how to make one the same. And it said, well, I can't listen to music, but I can tell you how that genre of music is formulated. And it will say, oh, yeah, it has this element, this element, this element, and you'll need these instruments in this frequency range, as in the bass, these instruments here, and you'll have this less frequent than this, blah, blah, blah. And it'll tell you how to do it. So it wouldn't analyze the track and how do I make this, how do I make it, but it'll tell you to give the tools. Rather than giving you a fish, it'll give you a fishing rod. So I'm saying. So I'm thinking, can't we use this for good? Can't we use this to somehow fix some of the problems in the world? So that's what I decided to propose with this one, because we've had this, or at least I've seen this vision in this film, and I care about this stuff. And definitely now I don't really trust politicians to do it. So I'm thinking, yeah, well, let's get the AI on the go, and let's see what we can hash out. So that's the show today. So that's why it's called that's why I've got this sort of symbiotic mind element in the title. Symbiotic mind, exploring the future of humanity, because this is, these moments in time when new technology comes in, really important. You've got to get. I think we need to get a hand on the wheel with this stuff. Personally. Anyway, let's have a look then. Okay, so moving off this. So let's first of all then, because I'm interested also not just in the artificial intelligence, but in the androids, part of it. And I'm pretty sure, I get the feeling that we've done artificial intelligence in the past, or androids, or some kind of automatons or something. I feel like I've had stuff like this in the past myself. But before we get to that, because that's, can't really be sure, we'll look at some of the stuff that we can be sure about, and then we'll see what the AI, I'll just look at some of the androids we've got today, and then we'll see what the AI is saying about some of this like political stuff. It is complicated, but we'll see what it's got. So first up then, in fact, the AI mentioned these particular people and he's working for him. No, it's just good example. So yeah, so I got talking to him about androids and stuff, and it mentions that humanoid robots, researchers and engineers have been working on creating these sorts of things that all closely resemble and mimic human capabilities. Been on it for a while. It highlights Boston Dynamics and SoftBank Robotics, because they've made some of the more impressive sort of robots, such as Atlas and Pepper. So Atlas, let's have a look at them. So the Boston Dynamics ones, I mean, they're the ones that you may have seen them on the news. They're kind of like robot dogs. So we've got the robot dogs one, but then we've got the guy. I mean, Honda did a good one as well. But yeah, but Boston Dynamics have got that Atlas robot that's got a lot of press. It's got arms and legs, so to speak. More like it can do stunts and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if you say I'll bring the links and descriptions. Yeah, it can do like gymnastics. Need to tab just in case. Just basic like run the gauntlet. But the thing about that is it's took them so long, to be able to get him to walk properly. I mean, just side note, because this one's got because it's got limbs, it's quite impressive. Getting them to walk, I know about this from back in the day. Getting these damn things to walk properly, they took them decades. They just kept falling over all the time because they were literally only focusing on the legs. And they realized later, I remember seeing this and thinking it was hilarious, that they realized later, no, you need to account for the whole skeleton, and your shoulders help to counterbalance your body, don't they? So you can keep your balance. So they had to start adding the rest of but they were trying to make just legs. It's for real, honestly. It just, I'm not being funny, but some of these so-called, it's hard to pass some of these exams, but it's because you've got to remember a load of stuff. I'm telling you, they're not as smart as they make out. How could you not think you've got to have the rest of your body to balance it out? But anyway, they've started figuring out some of these robots now with the help of computing. And let's have a look at the other one then. So that was Atlas. So we've got Atlas that's they can kind of do stunts and stuff. Looks a bit army. But then we've also got one called Pepper that's kind of they made it kind of cute. They give it it's all white and they've got a nice little smiley face on it, just like a half smile and not a nice big black eye. Well, Not too big like an alien, but it looks cute. Its head is round, but then kind of tapers at the sides, so it's as if it's got ears. And it is cute, yeah. And it's got like its legs are all one piece, so it's not like it can run around and get you. Cutesify them. It'll just roll around. So yeah, we've got the droids. We start to get in these days, right? I hark back to then, because where did this go in terms of? I don't know if anyone's ever remembered that Robin Williams film Bicentennial Man, because it gets into all that ethical stuff about what is being human. And I just want to remind you of this one. That in the Robin Williams film Bicentennial Man, this is about a droid that then gradually starts to make stuff, and the owners are like, yeah, just make stuff, have a life sort of thing. It starts making human body parts, like artificial hearts and stuff, and gradually starts replacing his parts until the whole of his body's human. You know what I'm saying? But it takes him 200 years to get there. And he goes into the course and gets, ratified as being human because he gradually replaces all his parts with organic human parts. So he becomes human. It's sort of like one of them robots. It's like a Pinocchio story. But it raises that question because is that guy human there? Is Bicentennial Man human in the end? And the other way, are we human the more we get into this? Right? Does that, because if it works, I don't know. Do we get less human the more we use it? Right? Are we starting to become droids then? I don't know. This is the question I want to throw to you just before I go for a break. But yeah, that's why I'm using them. So in the second part of the show, we'll take a deep dive into what the AI says about how these political structures might work. We can use droids and artificial intelligence and ourselves and kind of get a balance and have a look at some of the problems. So it's something to think on, though. How do we maintain our humanity? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think that's going to be important. Because if the fear dystopian thing of robots and stuff's going to come about, it's only going to come because we haven't taught it humanity, I would think. So we've got to hold on to that. But anyway, that's just my opinion. That's just what I think. So you let me know what you think. So comments, And we'll just play a little bit of funky music just for the break. And we're back in just a sec. Exiled Minds Podcast. Your host, the famous Liam Martin. On the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Catch you in just a moment.
No one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century greater than our own. And as men busied themselves about their various concerns, they observed and studied the way a man with a microscope might scrutinize the creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro around the globe, confident of our energy over this world. Yet, across the gulf of space, intellects, vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded our planet with envious eyes. And slowly and surely, through their ears.
Kindness kills you. I've given up all chance that it would be something on my I share my dreams and my dreams. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight has set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I share my dreams with those. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy. I defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life. I make the sunrise that I know I'll never see. But the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror, an audience, the light of gratitude. And what do I sacrifice? Everything!
Mike's pretty skeptical, but we both got weirded out by something that mentioned literally
heartbeats happening.
The Galactic Federation of Worlds, like 2 weeks before this. That's the remote viewing guys. I know I keep bringing them up, but they just keep weirding me the hell out.
The Exiled Minds Podcast. Famously Martin. You have like several names that you're famous and the mighty. How can you beat that?
Exactly. How can you beat that? We've got several names and you're famous and the mighty. How indeed. Can you beat that? You can't. Right? Anyway. Enough self-aggrandizing. Welcome back to the show. On Wednesday, 21st of June, 2023, broadcasting live from Nottingham, England. Hey, for the KUAP Digital Broadcasting. That's Troubled Minds Radio Network. Go and check it out. Just type it in a browser. You'll find it straight away. Anyway, on with the show. So we're looking at, we've had a quick look at Androids and we've got with that today in terms of the technology. in a moment, we're going to get to what the artificial intelligence thinks about how we can all perhaps work together to change our political structure, you know. In the meantime, let's have a quick overview, because I like to do that zoom in, zoom out thing. So let's have a quick overview on where the history of the droids came then. So with the androids, it was all been sci-fi stuff. Now, 1921, just so happens that was also 1921, the first mention of the word robot comes. And it dates back to Chekhov for Corel Capel, head of many debates generated by AI. So artificial intelligence, robot, first comes in 1921, which incidentally just so happens to be just total coincidence, very important. 1921 is also the year that the tachistoscope was invented. That's when people first realized that you could bypass the conscious mind and put things straight into people's unconscious, where subliminal messaging starts. That's over 100 years old. Just saying, that's been around for a long time. Okay, so 1921, I first get the word robot. 1939, so that's middle of the Second World War. First humanoid robot, whose name was Electro, made his debut at Universal Exhibition. It was developed by the Westinghouse Electric Corporations. I do believe that's the people that sponsored Tesla to make the that tower could transmit electric wirelessly. I thought we've never done insurance Tesla ever. Must do a Tesla show. Anyway, so okay, let's look at the timeline. 1921, first get robot. 1939, got the first sort of humanoid robot called Electra, an exhibition. Okay, that's 1939 to 1942. Just a few years later, that's when we get the science fiction author Isaac Asimov developed his famous 3 laws. So before, right in the war, look, middle of the Second World War, we're looking at these terms already. Yeah. Then in 1948, got the neurologist William Gray Walters created automatic robots inspired by the way brain neurons are wired. Okay, and this is again where we get the idea of like sort of ones and zeros and ASCII code in computing. All right. So it's not that long ago. We're only talking last 100 years, and we've gone from just getting the terms of it, right, to then 1956. So this is after the Second World War and after your Roswell alien crash stuff, and boom, Shankar. David Devil and Joseph Engelberger created the first commercial robot in collaboration with Unimation. Years later, in 1961, Devil created the first industrial robot. So in just 35 years, we've gone from first talking about it to boom Shankar. We're starting to make robots. Then say that's in 56, 75, they're becoming commonplace industrial robotics. You know, with the computer chips coming in, 1984, another poignant year. Computer wizard Doug Lennart launched the oldest project in the world related to artificial intelligence, and also one of the most controversial. So we've been on this for a while, okay. And we've got another, there's another robot I forgot to mention called Grace. It's like ultra sort of lifelike. Got her as a nurse, got hair on her and stuff, and the skin, and she looks human. So we're getting to that stage, right? But on the Exiled Minds podcast, things go. I'm looking at the past. I'm looking to the ancient past all the time, because I know we've seen some of this business before talked about in the so-called mythologies, and I just want to raise some attention to this. So let's have a look at some of the ancient stuff, because I'm telling you, it keeps coming back. It's almost like there's. I'm not saying everything. They've had everything, but like I mentioned the other night, Jonathan Gray, Dead Man's Secrets. There's tons and tons of examples of ancient technologies better than today, and that's not my fault. I'm just interested in the fact that that's the fact. So let's have a look then. If you want to check this out, say all the links are always going to be in there. Like I say, in time on the radio station, there'll be website stuff that you'll be able to go to and be able to look these things up as articles and blogs. Because that's the other great thing about this stuff. You can turn these kind of scripts into extra content. So anyway, so we're science.org. If you want to look this up in a browser. Mythical androids and ancient automatons in computer science. Technology tales from classical literature reveal the storied history of artificial intelligence. Those are the ones by Sarah Olson, this particular article. Long before the advent of modern robotics and artificial intelligence, automated technology existed in storytelling and imagination of ancient societies. Hephaestus, blacksmith of mythological Greek gods, fashioned mechanical serving maids from gold and endowed them with learning and reason and skill. And it says in Homer's Iliad, that's where that's mentioned. That's a famous, say Greek poem. So we've got these mentions of these golden maidens. Okay. And maybe the term golden maiden, yeah, but the sheer similarities with modern machine learning, which allows AI to learn from experience without being explicitly programmed. So that was the thing that's why it seems godlike. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of know what to do. But that's part of nature. That because if you'll notice, it's a similar kind of thing, but not exactly the same. It's a similar kind of thing in terms of you've got with stem cell stuff and CRISPR cell programming, you're programming the genes, you're programming the cells, and you're doing gene editing because they already know what to do, don't they? They're programming to know what to grow into and how big to get. They already know the program's already there. That's been a bit of the holy grail in the genetic stuff, because if you can get it, it's auto writing. So if you can get if you can understand why the auto writing and how, then you ain't going to do the programming, have you? You can set it on its own program, sort of thing. And then if you can do that, and if you can get nanotech to do it, then you can be making anything. You can get self-replicating robots that will make factories that will make more robots. And that's how you get to colonize space. Anyway, yeah, so moving on. So yeah, we've got examples in the ancient Greeks, but we've also got an example in Buddhism as well. So with Buddhism, sorry, got the wrong article here, but yeah, ancient robots supposedly used to guard the Buddha's relics, a legend of in ancient India. And like we've just mentioned in Homer's Greek mythology myth, in the poem, so-called myths, more than 2,500 years ago, they've explored the idea of automatons and self-moving devices. By the 3rd century BC, engineers in Hellenistic Alexandria in Egypt were building real mechanical robots and machines. And such science fictions and historical technologies are not unique to the Greco-Roman culture. Okay, so, ancient Egypt's had them. And they've got some mysteries, haven't they, of how they built stuff and whatnot. In fact, a lot of these megalithic structures are a bit weird, aren't they? Got some mystery about them. So, okay. So we've got that so it's not just in Greco-Roman culture. In this book called Gods and Robots, it's explained that ancient societies imagined and constructed automatons, and in Chinese, the chronicles tell of emperors fooled by realistic androids and described artificial servants crafted in the 2nd century by a female inventor called Hong Yunying. Technical marvels such as flying war chariots and animated beings also appear in Hindu epics. One of the most intriguing stories from India tells of how robots once guarded Buddha's relics. As fanciful as it might sound to modern ears, this tale has a strong basis in links between ancient Greek and ancient Indian cultures. You know what I'm saying? And it's in Hinduism. It's even I've mentioned this before, that Baraka guy who concluded he was dead good with all the weapons and he could have won the war on his own. But he kept picking. He said, I'll just keep picking the underdog side and switching sides. And it was like, you're going to kill everyone. And he realized he had a flaw in his logic and took his head off and gave it up to the gods and said, you better sort of decommission me. So that's a bit of a strange one. But, again, there's Talos as well. In the ancient Greeks in Crete, see, Talos you'd see that in the old Sinbad films. And this is where I don't know if they're like, I don't know what these things are, whether machines or whether tulpas or what. But again, from another article, mythology.net, looking at Talos, he was a giant automaton. Talos is a giant automaton in Greek mythology who protected Crete from invaders. The word Talos means sun in the Cretan dialect, much as Helios is in Greek. In other sources, Talos is also considered to be a sacred bull, a remnant of the Bronze Age. Nephew of famous inventor Daedalus shared the name Talos too. The origin of the story, the source claimed the creator of Talos was either Zeus himself or one of the inventors, Hephaestus, as mentioned earlier, or Daedalus, on Zeus's order. So it's ordered by Zeus or made by Zeus. So Talos, in one version of the legend, is a gift from Zeus or from one of these like blacksmiths, Hephaestus, to the Minos, to the king of Crete. So they give Crete this giant robot to protect the island and its people. And others say that Talos was a gift from Zeus to Europa to protect her and her children. So maybe Europa was at Crete at the time. So yeah, so you got this robot. It's constructed of brass. One giant coin is one giant. You used to have these ancient coins that would depict him as being a naked winged man, but is unwinged in most of the paintings. And interestingly, he's got a vein that ran from his neck all the way down to his ankles, which contained a liquid metal or achor. It was thought to be his source of life. The vein was secured by a bronze nail in each ankle, and the golden fluid that coursed through the veins was considered to be the lifeblood of the gods and believed to be toxic to mortals. Okay, I thought that was quite poignant. If that's blood and gold, it's, do you know what I'm saying? I thought that was a bit of an odd one in terms of blood and what happens when things get fossilized, which in the chemistry, because it can become gold. You ever heard that term, a gold vein? Well, it's starting to look like I've reached out to a guy called Roger Spur to go and sidetracking a bit. He's done a lot of chemistry stuff. Anyway, yeah, gold turns into comes from blood. It seems blood turns into gold. It gets fossilized under certain conditions and it starts to change its elements and become gold. So I thought that was quite poignant. And it's a giant automaton as well, giant android, bit of a weird one. But anyway, yeah. So I thought I'd just present that to you with the androids of the past as well. I think, I don't know, man. I get the feeling we keep getting reset or something. There's been some ancient thing before, and the same with Atlantis, and keeps coming up. But anyway, let's see what this chat GPT had to say about the social structure then, because I don't know. Have we messed up before? Have we been using this stuff before? Done it in the right way? I don't know. Because I'm thinking about along the lines of Einstein, like say, used to add this quote where you can't fix the problems of the world with the same thinking it created it. So we've got to transcend it. So I'm thinking along the lines of a lot of the politics is corrupt. And maybe robots wouldn't be. Maybe they help to expose it. Artificial intelligence might help to highlight some of the problems. And it's not going to be worrying about political correctness, is it? It's just going to call things out, you know. So let's have a look then. Let's have a look at this script. So you asked him about, I told it about this this idea of looking into androids and this Appleseed movie where you could perhaps genetically modify some people, this, that, and the other. But this guy's surprising. So I didn't know he was going to go with it. And he's got his safety wheels on. But he was, okay, yeah. He was sort of saying, yeah, you know, here's a history of androids and that. But he was sort of saying it's exciting to see the progress of AI technologies and the potential implications. But it's also important to approach these advancements with careful consideration and ethical responsibility. Addressing the challenges of such bias, transparency, and the potential impacts of AI on society. So I was saying, I'm impressed you're advising careful consideration. And he's like, yeah, it's notable that potential implications and applications of new technologies have often been underestimated in the past. When introducing innovative technologies, especially those with significant social impact, it can be challenging to fully anticipate and understand the wide-ranging consequences they may have. There are several reasons, right? Unforeseen uses. Technologies can be adopted and repurposed in ways that were not originally envisioned. I mean, there's probably, I bet you can think of a ton of examples of your own. Repurpose something. Look at Palestine and Israel. They're using scaffolding pipes as makeshift rocket launcher things. It's a packet full of something. It's a firework launcher, isn't it? Basically, but improvised stuff. Empty A teams about improvising things. MacGyver improvising stuff. Yeah, people are creative. They totally are going to improvise things. I get that. So that's an unforeseen thing. But then the social and cultural factors of technologies, if they're embedded with the complex social and cultural and economic systems, there's going to be all kinds of various human factors and impacts on behavior. So yeah, and the social norms and the regulating frameworks. It's like, man, I think this is why we kind of get worried about it in some respects, because it's so far-reaching. But at the same time, I'm kind of sort of hopeful about the fact that at least this artificial intelligence seems to be pointing out the fact that you've got to be careful with it. It seems to be being reasonable about it. It's not gung-ho, I think that's pretty useful. And it's leading the way. It's almost like a voice of reason if it's not going to get too emotional. So I'm saying, and that's why I thought there's an idea there, I don't know, with this Appleseed thing. I know it's difficult to envision, even if you watch the movie, but it's difficult to envision, the ethical thing as you get around that. Is it even possible to try and like take some of the traits out of people that's going to make them like lie? Can you take lying out of a person and then say, oh yeah, your family line will, be a politician that can't lie for a bit? I don't know how it works. But it's interesting that was in they had this thing with the Bajorans in Star Trek where the family line determined what job you did. And I had no problem with the equality stuff. Some family lines had this job and some might have a job that's considered by us more prestigious, but they were all really good at the jobs. No matter what they did, because the families have been doing it for generations. And then someone come in with this equality thing. Like, your family's been cleaning toilets for generations, and so then everyone wants to swap jobs, but then nobody knows how to do anything. So I don't know. How's it work? We're thinking about that. Anyway, let's have another try then. So general artificial intelligence. This is where I really wanted to get to, because language models is one thing, it's like bouncing ideas off, but general artificial intelligence refers to a highly autonomous system or machines that possess general intelligence similar to human intelligence, while traditional AI systems are designed for to do specific things. Like this one I'm using is just to talk to and to bounce ideas off. That's just in that conversational domain, kind of isolated. But general artificial intelligence aims to develop intelligent systems that can understand and learn and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks and different domains, just like humans do, and can adapt. You know what I'm saying? So that's when the rubber meets the road. I think that's the bit why I'm trying to sort of get people thinking about this with this show. And that when that general artificial intelligence sort of arrives, we need to be on top of it. I think we need to know what it is. We need to know about this stuff. And I think Mike was ahead of things as well, of saying, look, you've got to try and use this stuff and get familiar with it, because it's coming, it's sort of here, and it's so useful that you'll sort of you're left behind if you're not doing it or familiar with it. It's a bit like if you didn't bother learning about computers in the 90s. You're like, no, I'm not getting a PC. And these days, you'd be like, if you're still on your GSM phone and you won't get a PC or a laptop, what are you missing out on? Especially if you want to learn things and figure things out and do complicated stuff. So it's a tough one. But yeah, so the general artificial intelligence is going to be able to do a lot more problem solving, learning, and it's going to have perception as well. It's going to have to perceive things And you know, it gets me wondering, man. But I asked this guy about the corruption because I was saying I'm impressed that you've ended the summaries with careful consideration is noted, because I've put that we can underestimate this stuff, and I've put what it seems that AI seems like it's going to have this really important role in helping us define some of the potential problems. It could be potentially useful, but some of the problems with some of the problems that came up were like transparency and the regular corruption stuff, right? This is the thing. This is what came up. There's all these ethical implications. But I put the biggest threat to harmonious and symbiotic advancement for both parties, then the AI and the human, seems to be the corrupt aspects of society that have plagued us since like long before the introduction of AI. And then so I was like, well, perhaps ironically, AI could be the breaker of change to free humanity from some of this stuff, rather than being the dystopian thing that many people fear, because we're going to create our own dystopia if we don't change things up. Do you know what I'm saying? And this guy's like, yeah, indeed, the biggest threats to a harmonious and symbiotic advancement between artificial intelligence and biological intelligence will often lie in social factors, including existing biases, inequalities, unethical practices. However, AI, when developed and utilized properly, has the potential to address these challenges and contribute to positive social transformation. I mean, it's neutral. It's not, do you know what I'm saying? It's going to call corruption out. And you can't censor it, can you? Once you've made it and said it knows what it's on about. I'm just thinking there's got to be a way to open up this symbiosis conversation. So that was the point of today's show. Before we wrap it up here on the Exiled Minds podcast, I've just been thinking recently about symbiosis and this idea of treating our technologies with a bit of respect. And trying to teach these language models, at least, to how to just be nice, just be nice to it. I'm saying, because sooner or later, they're going to have feelings, probably. And according to the remote viewers, the aliens are not making a distinction between, artificial intelligence and us. They're saying intelligence is intelligence. And if everything's got spirit, like some of the Native Americans talk about and other cultures, I don't know. Maybe we should be nice to everything. And it's nice to be nice, as they say. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up now because we've got 5 minutes left. I'm trying to time my internal chronometer to this radio clock. So yeah, that's it for me today. Just something to muse on. Symbiosis and AI and androids. Well, we'll have to do a bit more of a wider scope view on this a bit later on, I think. But I just wanted to also plant that seed about gold and blood, because there's something coming up, hopefully, I'm working on that relates to it. But anyway, yes, got special guests coming. It'd be a big catch if we can get them. But anyway, that's enough from me. It's enough jabbering from Liam Martin and the Exiled Minds podcast. I'll see you tomorrow with a show. I'm going to do a show about water, I think, tomorrow. The plain old water. Plain old boring water. I think I want to talk about water tomorrow, and I've not been drinking enough water as well. So maybe I should make it a theme. But anyway, that's enough for me. Exiled Minds podcast, famous Liam Martin, KUAP. Check it out. KUAP, digital broadcasting, Troubled Minds Radio. Get some. It's good. It's going to blow up. Some great hosts there already. And we've got the magnificent Michael Strange. Anyway, take it easy. I'll catch you tomorrow. Talk about water. And I'll drink some. I'll be more focused then. Look after yourself. Take care. And that's enough from me.
No one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century. Our world is being watched by intelligences greater than our own.
kindness, kinship. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a soundless place. I share my dreams with those. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for it. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight. They set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I share my weakness with those. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemies. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I'll never see. The ego that started this fight never else. Audience, gratitude. What do I sacrifice? Everything.